Even the return of Captain J.T. Miller couldn't bring good tidings to MSG. Another game at home, another loss. It's rough if you're a ticket-paying customer and going to see the team at the world's most famous arena. New year, same terrible losses. Hey everybody, I'm Todd Werwa, your host for Rangers Daily, presented by Fan Arch. Thank you for joining us here on YouTube. Please subscribe. Please ring the bell so you know when each new episode gets posted. Give a thumbs up if you like the content. And please, as always, leave your comments, questions, thoughts, any of that right below in the comments section. And should you not be able to see this always on YouTube, you can also find an audio version on Apple Podcasts. Just search Rangers Daily. Let's get to the biggest story of the game. Huge mistake by Alexis Lafreniere. I don't want to say it cost them the game because they were trailing 3-2 at the time. But third period, let me set the stage for you. Rangers making a great push in the third. Mike Sullivan called it the best period they'd played in a while. Just loved the energy, the intensity, the physicality, just everything about it. He said everything we asked them to do, they do. With about 5 minutes left, down one, Vincent Trocheck gets high-sticked in the face. The high stick draws blood. Double minor, 4-minute power play for the Rangers. They've been pushing all period. Trocheck scored, driving to the net early in the period, in the first minute of the period. It looked like they had real jump, real fight. Remember the other day when I talked about, I think it was the Utah game when, one of their players, might have been Carcone, drove to the net, just took a guy one-on-one and drove to the net, went hard and scored. Well, that's what Trocheck did in that first minute. Took a defender, went hard, actually had someone cutting to the middle. I believe it was Zibanejad. He gave the old look and then the look off and then the shot, sort of the Patrick Mahomes no-look pass, but this was a no-look shot, and it went through the goaltender, tied at 3-2. They had tremendous push midway through the period. The fourth line had a ridiculous shift with tons of chances and all the momentum in the Buffalo end, and then the next group came on and had chances, and the Rangers just couldn't put one in, but they were pushing, like that want, that drive that, so often they've turtled in the third period. Well, this time they strutted their stuff, and they were phenomenal. And they get this double minor, and right at the beginning of the double minor, Gavrikov gives the puck over to Lafreniere, if you're looking toward the goal on the right side, and he has a man on him, and instead of dumping it back down low, as he's taught, as he should, he just sort of blindly passes it to the middle. Gavrikov's already backed up. It goes straight to a Buffalo defender. He comes up the ice. It's Mattias Samuelsson. He comes up the ice. Lafreniere almost doesn't put in the 100% effort then to catch him and stay on him. He's on him, and he communicates with Gavrikov as to whose man it was going to be. It looked like they communicated, so Gavrikov was going to switch over to the man with the puck, to Samuelsson, and Lafreniere was going to take whatever trailing man was back behind them. But he made the handoff too soon before Gavrikov got there, so he just sort of, straight-legged it and allowed Samuelsson it wasn't a great angle, but it was a scoring angle. Jonathan Quick is already down on his knees, too far down. Samuelsson beats him over the ear, and all the momentum the Rangers had, just seemed to crumble. They got some chances on the rest of that 4-minute power play, but the difference between being down one late and down too late, especially for a team that doesn't score in a building they don't score in, just seemed monumental. They couldn't get the a goal, let alone 2 goals to tie it up. They even pulled Quick to try and get a 2-man advantage. They couldn't score. The Sabres wind up getting an empty netter that was thrown deep off the boards and bounced off, and Panarin just didn't back check. Sabres put it in the empty net for the 5-2 final, but it was deflating, and it was one of those plays where I was surprised Lafreniere came out for his next shift. I was surprised he wasn't benched. You could tell Sullivan was upset right at the beginning. And afterwards you could tell how upset he was. Here's the rub. Because Trocheck bled, he couldn't go right out on the power play. He had to stay on the bench for part of the shift. Once the puck got dumped down, the plan was Lafreniere came off and Trocheck was going back on. But it's by rule you can't stay out there while you're still bleeding. So the only reason Lafreniere was out there was because Trocheck bled and it was a double minor and couldn't immediately go back out, or else Lafreniere would have been on power play 2 and might have gotten 30 seconds tops. So he never should have been out there. But, of course, with the way the Rangers are, trouble finds you. And Lafreniere, caught in a position, just goes against all the coaching, throws it into the high ice, and away the Sabres go to cement the game away. I hate picking on Lafreniere, but it's just emblematic of the kind of play we've seen from this guy. He's playing in a position that he doesn't belong. He probably should be on the third line, or he looked good in a game or two with Perreault. But it's just, of course, it was Lafreniere. That's just the kind of player he's become. So the Sabres were the hottest team coming into the game, and it's now the first time since 2005 they have 12 wins in 13 games. They're 12-1 in their last 13. Did you know, in that 2005 run for the Sabres, the leading point scorer with 12 points in that 13-game stretch was Chris Drury. See, it all comes back to Drury, doesn't it always? Rangers, same old, same old. They've won 5 games out of the 20 at Madison Square Garden. They can't win in those Centennial jerseys, and it stinks that tonight, Thursday night was fan favorites night, and they brought back a ton of players that may not have been the best players in Rangers history, but were fan favorites. Ty Domi was there, and Sean Avery, and Colton Orr, and Tony Granato, Henrik Lundqvist, obviously, Ryan Callahan, Darren Langdon. There was a whole host of guys there. And one of I think either Kenny Albert or Maloney made the joke about, we are really safe in this building tonight with all of those tough guys gathered together. Oh, Nicky Fatiu was one of the guys. Like, it was just all the great tough guys and hard hitters. Jeff Bukaboom, Adam Graves, like all the guys that you just didn't mess with. It was a phenomenal display of fan favorites, of guys that had their Ranger moments. Jan Eriksson was there. You felt safe with those guys around. It made you miss some of the toughness every time they showed. They showed Domi or showed, Avery or whomever. They just cut over to Matt Rempe, and you were like, oh, if only, he was sort of like them. But they just can't win at the Garden. They can't win in those jerseys. They actually started like they looked like they had life right from the jump. There was a beautiful centering pass in the inner slot that a one-timer Cooley couldn't handle. Then Radish had a redirect that was kind of a wobbly save by the goaltender, kind of rolled up his shirt. So it looked like, okay, they're coming out with a little pizzazz, a little juice, and it all went away. And then they gave up the goal. The first goal was started by a bad pass by Mika coming out of the zone. Alex Tuck had an open chance after a Gavrikov giveaway. Like I said, Quick wasn't fantastic. The first goal was a broken stick on a shot, and then chaos and Borgen's on one knee, and Quick. It was a defensive mess. Even though they held the Sabres to 4 shots in the first period, the second period, Trocheck gets knocked down, goes to the bench, winds up getting called for mouthing off to the officials, but it allowed the Sabres to come down, and the defense just backed off. And Alex Tuck was just had all day to shoot from the right circle and just wires one off the post and in past Quick. Could be a good get, Alex Tuck. I love his speed. I love his shot. But the Rangers just gave them all the time in the world. The third goal was, vintage Rangers. Rasmus Dahlin takes the shot from the point. Quick makes the save and pops it up. Jeff Zucker's in front of him with his back to him. It hits him in the back and backside and flips up over Quick into the goal. Another, of course. Yep. That's what happens to the Rangers. Just when they sort of had momentum, it was 2-1, and boop, there comes the crazy weird goal that, it seems like only the Rangers can give up. On the good side, at least, I'm calling it Mika Zibanejad. He's been phenomenal. He continued his hot streak. He scored again to cut the lead to 2-1. Beautiful sort of east-west play by Panarin, who then came in and fed Zibanejad with a gorgeous one-timer. Vintage Mika. Absolutely tremendous on both their parts. It was the 16th of the season. Now he's tied for first on the team. He has 4 goals and 5 assists in his last 4 games. That goal was the 8th straight Rangers goal that Mika had a part in. So an unbelievable streak, and it's hard to believe. So he tied Rod Gilbert for the second most consecutive goal involvements streak. He has the first at 10 games, which he did several years ago. So at one point he had scored in 10 or played a part in 10 straight Ranger goals. His streak did end, though, on the Trocheck goal. Even though he was camped out sort of right in the middle of the crease, he did not get any credit, assists, or anything like that on the Trocheck goal. So the streak ends at 8, and such is life. But he's been great. When he was on the ice in all situations, attempts were 29-21 Rangers. At 5-on-5, 21-13. The scoring chances at 5-on-5 when he was on the ice are 10-7 Rangers, and the expected goals for at 5-on-5 when he was on the ice, 58.23. So he's playing well. It's great to see. His turnaround this year is one of the good Ranger stories of the year. Finally, it's another costly loss for the Rangers. That's what the trouble is with this loss to the Sabres. Obviously, it's a loss to the Sabres, who are in that fight for the second wildcard spot. I believe they moved into the second wildcard spot with the win. But here's the deal. So the Bruins won. The Canadiens won. Panthers lost in that game. But the Red Wings won. The Sabres won. The Leafs won in OT. So the Flyers also get a point out of that. The Penguins won. Thankfully, the Devils lost. But the Penguins won. The Hurricanes won. And the Islanders got a point. Their points percentage is right at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. There's starting to be a little gap there. They're 4 points back. They're starting to fall off the pace. It's not, I don't want to say it's dire, but it's dire. let's face it, even if they went on a Buffalo Sabres-esque 12-1 run with the points percentage, it still won't, secure a playoff spot. And I don't necessarily see this team going on a 12-1 run or winning 10 straight or whatever it is, especially not with the current makeup of the team, especially not with Fox and Shesterkin out. So we'll see. It's getting to nitty-gritty time for Chris Drury, whether he can add a part to this team or really what he should do is start looking at selling off and getting assets for players that have great reputations, that are playing positions where there's a real strong market and a real need for some teams. So we'll see what he does, but we're getting close to that time. And rebuild, retool, white flag, whatever you want to call it. We'll see how quickly it may come. Rangers do play Saturday, play the Bruins, then Monday against the Kraken. It's a matinee on Saturday. So maybe they can build off this third period, but the one thing we've noticed with this team is anytime they have some good prosperity and momentum to build with, they just cannot capitalize and build on success. So that's the story after another frustrating loss at home. Please, again, subscribe. Give a thumbs up if you like what we're doing. Please leave a comment, leave a thought, a question. Maybe leave who you think the Rangers should try and acquire or who they should try and sell off, what you think they may get to it. We'll do some viewer stuff, viewer thoughts as I get a little later in January and we get closer to the Olympic break. As always, I appreciate you being here immensely, and thank you for watching.